What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Shiv, and today we're going to talk about some cool things I'd love to see in Conan Exiles. I almost called it Age of Conan. Yes, I know, it's Funcom. Damn me! Alright, Conan Exiles is a pretty damn good game. For $30 for an early access, I know a lot of people have complained about that price for early access. I actually think it's worth it. Alright, I really do. I've played Ark, I've played Rust, and the amount of quality as well as stability that Conan has right now actually exceeds what both of those had when they first came out. Though there are still some persistent bugs that I would really like to see dealt with. For the most part, I think the game is actually pretty good as soon as they optimize it. Alright, so let's talk about the things that I'd really like to see going forward in Conan Exiles. The first thing I want to talk about is thralls. Thralls are fucking amazing. They're the gimmick that separates it from, say, Ark and Rust and whatnot. And while some people have given some lip about it, saying that it's basically slavery, it really isn't. I'm not going to explain why it isn't slavery, because that's just arguing with people who just look for a point to argue. I don't want to do that. But it is definitely an amazing system, but it can definitely be improved. Right now, the thrall you get is the thrall you get. Alright, you cannot upgrade them in any way, shape, or form. You can't level them up. You can't give them new gear or anything of that nature, which means their usefulness is damn near disposable at best. This is something I'd like to see changed. I think we could actually come up with a better system than what we currently have, and I'm hopefully the developers are going to be working on this as well, because it's been a constant complaint that a lot of people have. Hey, how do I level my guys? Hey, how do I give them this weapon? Hey, how do I do this? You can't. You get them, you knock them unconscious, you put them on a wheel of pain, they become your personal bitch, and you put them to work. That's all they do. And I kind of feel like there's some depth with the thrall system that we could definitely explore moving forward. Speaking of depth of the thrall system moving forward, let's talk about pack mules. That might not seem like they go together, but hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. As you get thralls, placing them someplace becomes an obvious issue when it comes to weight. This makes transporting thralls from one base to another base somewhat problematic. A pack mule would definitely resolve this issue quite easily. Now, they don't have to be mules. You can make pack elephants, you can make pack rhinos, which, yeah, good luck on that shit. There are lots of different ways you can actually go about doing this. And I think that's definitely something we need to look at. Hell, we could even use those ostriches. There you go. You get a cart, put an ostrich on it. I think that's definitely something worthwhile to look into. But then that brings up animal husbandry and type deal that would definitely be kind of cool. But we start approaching the Ark gimmick a little bit too much there. So we'd have to keep it very, very limited, ladies and gentlemen. Last thing I want to see is people riding a battle rhino into combat. Though, I'm not going to lie, that'd be kind of cool. It really would. So, with the pack mule system, we'd be able to transport not just the thralls, but whole base structures that we're constructing at a previous base to set up for a new base. And it also offers some tactical depth as well. For anybody who's been exploring the game and gone to the center city, you know that place is a giant corruption nightmare. Well, currently in the game, there's only one way of dealing with corruption that I've discovered. I haven't tried all the potions yet, only 2 of them, which avoid the Yellow Lotus potion. And that's basically the entertainer thralls, or the dancers, or jugglers, or whatever you want to call them. Those are the only ways you can get rid of corruption. Well, when you're going through or exploring that city, you can't really just bring it with you, because the weight restraint, or weight limitations, are going to cause you some issues. This is where the pack mule opens up a great depth of strategy. You can now, say, put 4 or 5 thralls on there, and one of them can be a dancer, a bunch of them could be archers, and some fighters, and so on and so on. So now, when you're exploring the city, it's not just you and your friends taking on them, you also got your conscripted allies. Yes, I say conscripted, not slaves. And that'll actually make the game, I wouldn't say easier, but opens up more depth. Alright, it also puts a huge amount of focus back on the thralls as well, which, in all honesty, I think that's exactly where the game needs to have its focus, besides endgame content. So something like this I definitely think would be really good moving forward. It really would. Pack mules to carry thralls to bases, as well as to engage in deeper exploration of endgame content. Now, one thing I'm going to talk about here, and I know some people are going to go, dude, stop fucking selling us out. exploiting graphical bugs, and you're about to see that here in this video. As you can see, I'm fighting this black rhino, which anybody who's fought these before will tell you these are a bitch and a half to kill. They have a high health pool, and that tusk really does hurt. But as you can see here, we're glitching them into the wall. This is something I kind of feel is a little bit broken, and it's not just this right here that causes the issue. Mind you, this makes my life 10 times easier when I'm trying to kill these things. But the issue also extends to the thralls as well. Thralls will shoot through solid objects trying to hit a target. They lock onto the target, it's within range, and they will keep shooting through objects in order to get to it. Whether they be controlled thralls or wild NPC thralls, they will do this. This creates a lot of interesting graphical issues, specifically with those large trees like you saw over there to the right. I'm not kidding. I can get them to basically tear that tree apart repeatedly because of graphical glitching. It's funny. But it's definitely something I think needs to be fixed. Maybe some sort of LOS check in order to prevent exploiting, as well as, you know, making the thralls absolutely fucking useless. Because there's a way of exploiting thralls now that are trying to defend a base. All you have to do is get the thrall shooting at you, and all of a sudden you move behind cover to where they're going to just keep locking in on you and shooting there, while the rest of your teammates go in and fuck up the whole base. That seems really dumb. I mean, I know they're thralls, but come on, that's really dumb. So maybe do a little bit of work on that, some LOS checks and so on and so on. I don't know exactly how they'll implement it, but it's something that they should keep in mind. Alright, other things I'd like to see in this game are siege weapons, and not just siege weapons, but siege defense as well. We already have palisades, which are kind of like a defensive option. Not really, they're cheap ass walls for all intents and purposes, but there are definitely some other options that can be introduced to the game. Trebuchets, catapults, ballistas, mangalores, whatever they're called, burning oil, moats, pitch. Wow, there's actually quite a few that can be brought out there. Not to mention the fact that we already have explosive jars. How difficult would it be to turn an explosive jar into basically an anti-personnel mine in this game? You know, think about it. You just wrap a bunch of like metal bars around it and put it in a little thing, and whenever it comes time to you're being attacked, shoot the thing, boom, boom, kill people. I think that'd be kind of cool, but at that point I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But there are definitely some siege weapons that can definitely be brought in. The two I'm going to talk about the most right now are going to be ladders and grapple hook and rope. These I think would probably create a great amount of happiness in the community. As it stands, people are building up onto plateaus and then destroying the fucking ladders. Now, I generally don't have a problem with this because, well, summoning an avatar once you hit 50 is pretty fucking easy, which is another point to actually talk about, but we're not going to. Other people, though, they're not at 50, they want to do raiding, and they see these bases up on the plateaus, and they can't get to them. It's like, this isn't fair. Those boo, 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 boo. Well, you know, life isn't fair, guy. But just remember something. If they're up there, and they've destroyed their stairs, how are they getting up and down? Some servers, it makes a little bit more sense, because you keep all the stuff that's on your body, and you just basically corpse run it, all the stuff back. That's one thing, and that's something you have to deal with on your server. But on other servers, it's not that way. So if they're destroying their ladder, then they're also destroying their way of getting back and forth. Yes, please pardon the strain. So I don't really think it's that big of an issue, but I definitely think a hook and or grappling hooks and ladders would be something that's actually pretty damn good. Other options we could possibly introduce are siege towers, which, you know, that's definitely kind of cool. It definitely fits within the realm of the Conan universe, and I definitely like to see it. Now, not all of those things that I've mentioned previously are offensive. Some of them are very much defensive. The ballista, for example, even catapults could technically be defensive as well. There's anti-personnel catapults. The whole moat system is something I would really like to see. But that also involves a lot of ground manipulation, which I think is something they're not overly wanting to work on with terrain manipulation too much. But I think it could actually be kind of cool. I definitely think it would be kind of cool. Alright, outside of that, I'm going to say that I'm pretty much happy with a lot of things in the game. with one exception. As you can see here, I'm putting bark into the tannery. Bark is probably one of the most annoying fucking things in this game to get. I don't mind farming for brimstone. I don't mind farming for anything other than bark. This thing pisses me off all day long. Mostly due to the fact that the only way you can get it is using a pickaxe, and the likelihood you are to actually get the pickaxe to work is extremely reduced. Like, seriously, out of 10 hits, you might get bark 3 times. So you're talking about 33% at most of getting the bark. That kind of sucks. I'd like to see more specialized tools moving forward in Ark. I think that it would probably be a great quality of life increase for a lot of people. It also is another thing that they can craft, and by introducing one of these items, you technically introduce 3, because you have to have the stone, the iron, and the steel. Or you could just say fuck the stone one altogether and just do iron and steel, considering, yeah, you really don't need leather until you get to about iron anyway. So that's something to keep in mind. But all in all, I definitely would like to see some changes to how you get resources like that. This also applies to harvesting of beasts in the game. Sometimes I've noticed that the pickaxe and the hatchet basically do almost the exact same thing. I've used the pickaxe and got a lot of bones before. I've used the hatchet and got a lot of bones before. I've used the pickaxe, got a lot of meat before. I've used the hatchet and got a lot of meat before. There's no consistency on them. There really isn't. A couple of things I want to also address is the whole crippling hit mechanic, or crippling poison in the case of spiders. This thing is a little overly punishing, to the point where if you don't have a shield and are blocking that spider, yeah, it's going to be a problem. And the spider can actually move back quicker away from you to constantly keep applying it. If you're fighting more than one spider and there's some hyenas around, guess what? Most likely you're going to be stun locked and eaten alive. I think the whole crippling poison mechanic needs to be redone, as well as a pass fail check, because a spider being able to stun lock a level 50 player who's got like agility and things of that nature kind of doesn't make that much sense to me. But, you know, that's just me. I'd also like to see some other kind of attacks. Alright, like some knockdowns, disorientating attacks. I know the hammer technically has a pushback attack that is really, really nasty. But I feel like there's room for other types of attacks in there. We have all these swords that basically are variations of each other in terms of damage, but really don't apply too much stat reduction, stat increase whatsoever. Like, if you've got the Khopesh should swing faster than, say, a broadsword at a reduced damage, but you're getting more attacks in it. The broadsword, on the other hand, has a bigger damage base, but also could possibly, when you hit with it, knock out a little bit of stamina. You see where I'm getting with this? Alright, there's definitely ways we can manipulate around on that. And I think it would be cool. Also, having a bleed effect, I think, would be a little bit cool as well. That way, if they're trying to run away, you got a bleed on them, boom, they bleed to death running away. But with that, I kind of feel like you need to reduce that and not have it being like overly punishing to where they could stack like 7 bleeds on you and you're just going to bleed to death no matter what. I think those bleeds need to last like 2-3 seconds, ticking like 3 times per second or whatever, however much you want to do it, for a certain amount of damage that is not going to be overly that much. We don't want bleeds to basically determine, you know, the fate of somebody 100% of the time, but we definitely want it to be something that is considered. Alright, this also would put a huge bonus on things such as ambrosia or the blessed yog meat, for instance. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents on this. Hopefully, though, moving forward, we're going to see a lot of things. I know they've already talked about sorcery and enchanting and things of that nature, and they have mentioned siege weaponry moving forward. And I'd love to see all that. I'd love to see it. I think it'd be wonderful to see all this. But let me know what you guys think. What do you want to see in Conan Exiles? Leave me some comments down below. By the way, if you like these videos, please like, subscribe. Let me know that you care. It actually does help. Till next time, this is Shiv saying stay safe, have fun, and may RNGesus bless you. Peace.